In this presentation, we're going to be looking at the topic of textiles care. Textiles are any fabric-based item, including clothing, any upholstered or fabric-covered furniture, as well as other items such as bath towels, carpets, curtains, pillows, and cushions. We are going to learn how best we can care for these items. When we are caring for textile-based items, it's important that we consider the environment. How we look after our clothes and other textile-based items can have a huge impact due to the amount of water and electricity used. It's important to follow a number of steps if you want to consider the environment when taking care of your clothes. First step would be to make sure you only put on a full load of washing. Putting on half washes or multiple half washes in a week wastes water and wastes electricity. Also, it's important to consider the economy setting on your washing machine. This uses the least amount of energy and the least amount of water when doing a wash. This is ideal for small or half loads of washing. It's also important you consider the types of detergent, fabric conditioner, and other care products you use when looking after your clothing. Some of these can have a big impact on the environment. When we are caring for our clothes, there's a number of things we need to do before we start to wash them. First thing is mend. Mend basically means sew on any buttons that have become loose or lost, fix any holes or anything else that could be wrong with the clothing. Next thing then is to remove stains. If there's a stain on your clothing prior to the wash, it's recommended you put a stain remover on this before washing. The reason for this is because the hot water in the wash can actually set the stain and make it harder to remove in future. It's important then to fold or store knitwear flat, as storing knitwear hung up in a wardrobe can cause it to lose its shape. Ideally, you would use padded hangers for your clothing as well, as this allows it not to become bent out of shape or baggy during storage. When preparing a wash, there's a number of steps you should take. The first thing is empty any pockets that are in the item of clothing. It's important because items that are stuck in the pockets may damage the washing machine, or also things like tissue can break up and cover the whole load of washing in a layer of fluff. Repair any clothes as well before washing, because then you won't have clothes coming out of the wash that you actually can't wear due to rips, holes, or missing buttons. Remove any stubborn stains before washing using a stain remover. Close zips and buttons also so they don't snag or rip other items of clothing during the washing cycle. It's also important you sort your clothing into piles. Ideally, you would not wash whites with colours, because colours can run, which can cause damage or changes of colour to the item of clothing. Some clothing though is what's called colour fast, which means the dye will not run in the wash, although this is not something most people will be confident in when washing their favourite white top with their favourite pair of black jeans. Here you can see an example of a care label. These are attached to all items of clothing and give you an idea of the instructions that you should follow when washing an item of clothing. This item here gives you washing instructions, ironing instructions, bleaching instructions, drying instructions, and dry cleaning instructions. The first symbol there is a washing instruction. This is telling you to hand wash this item. The second instruction with the triangle with the X through it is telling you not to bleach the item. The third is telling you not to tumble dry the item. The ironing symbol is recommending a medium heated iron, and the P symbol is recommending for those who are dry cleaning the item how they will go about it. This is not information for you, this is information for the person in the dry cleaners. As you can see, this item is made of 100% wool, which is why it has a hand washing instruction, a not bleaching instruction, and a do not tumble dry instruction. If you were to throw this item into a washing machine, put bleach into the washing machine, and then throw it in the tumble dryer, it will come out looking very different. When washing delicate fabrics, such as wool or silk, there's some extra steps you should take. Ideally, they should be washed by hand, but this is not something most people have time to do every week. An alternative is to wash it on a very low spin setting in your wash machine, ideally on the 15-minute setting. Use a mild detergent such as Woolite, as this will not damage the fabric, and then afterwards do not put in the tumble dryer. Instead, wrap in a towel to remove any excess water, and then depending on the care label, either drip dry, which means to put it onto a clothesline or clothes horse, or dry flat. Drying flat is very important for wool items as the weight of the water can actually pull them out of shape and make them become baggy. Stain removal is an important step to take when you are washing your clothes. It's important to act quickly when you have stained your clothing. Ideally, you would not continue to wear it for the full rest of the day. You would take off the item and immediately put it under cold water. Cold water is very important because warm water will set the stain, making it even harder or impossible to remove. Do not rub the stain, as this will only spread it out. Instead, blot it or scrape it off, depending on what kind of an item or stain it is. Use the mildest treatment first, which is soaking in cold water, and if this doesn't work, you will have to resort to a chemical stain remover, such as Vanish or Stain Devils. It's important you test the stain remover on a piece of the fabric that you cannot see, because sometimes it can actually change the colour or wear a hole through the fabric. Removal of stains should always be done prior to washing, as I said before, because the hot water in the washing machine is going to set the stain and make it impossible to remove. There are a number of commercial stain removers on the market. It's important you choose the stain remover best suited to the stain you have on your clothing. Some stain removers are made specifically for the stain, such as oil, grass, blood, or wine. Other stain removers are more general and all-purpose. It's important that you test the stain remover on a small piece of the fabric that cannot be seen before putting it on the stain, as some stain removers can cause damage to the clothing. Here are some examples of some stain removers available to buy in the market. As you can see, you have Stain Devils, Vanish, and OxyClean. Here are some examples of how to remove specific stains without using commercial stain removers. It's important you know how each stain comes about and then how you would remove it. Colour catcher or colour run remover products are very handy when washing clothing. They allow us to wash a number of different colours in the one wash by trapping excess colour on the fabric sheet. Colour removers then can also be used if you've made a mistake and put in a black sock into your white wash and everything's come out grey. They can make an effort to remove some of the grey colouring and restore your whites. Washing detergents are added to the washing machine prior to washing your clothes. They help to remove dirt and stains from the clothing. Washing detergents can include a number of items in them that help to wash the clothing. Detergents used usually for white clothing will have the bleach in it. This allows the whites to look whiter after washing. Biological washing powder or biological detergent will usually contain enzymes which help to break down protein-based stains such as sweat and blood. Water softener is often added to detergents as well, which allows the fabric to get wet. A perfume is usually added to the detergent as well to give the detergent and the washed clothing a pleasant and fresh smell. There are a number of different types of detergent available on the market. Powder, tablet or liquid detergents are ones most of you are probably familiar with. Washing detergents then, such as Woolite, are ideal for wool and silk clothing. Low foaming detergents are ones that do not produce too much foam when you are washing your clothes. Biological detergents then are ideal for protein-based stains and work best at 40 degrees. Eco-friendly detergents are also becoming more and more popular these days, and they use less ingredients that damage the environment. Fabric conditioners are added prior to washing. They are put into the middle drawer of most washing machines. They not only give the clothing a fresh and pleasant smell after washing, but also reduce static electricity that can make clothing cling to the skin. It also reduces wrinkling, which makes ironing less of an issue when caring for your clothes. There are a number of guidelines you should follow when using the washing machine. Ideally, you should wait for a full load before turning on the washing machine. If you cannot wait for some reason, ideally use the economy setting on your washing machine to use less water and less electricity. Know the programs that are best suited to different types of fabric. Most fabrics or most situations will never require you to do a 90-degree or a boil wash, which will not only destroy the clothing but will make it come out a lot smaller than I want to wet in with. When drying our clothes, there are a number of options we can take. You can line dry them outside, or dry them indoors on a clothing horse, or use a tumble dryer. Tumble drying is ideal because it's convenient and quick, but it's less than ideal because it uses a lot of electricity and tumble dryers can be expensive to buy. Ideally, clothes should be dried either on a clothesline or inside on a clothes horse, but if you want to use your tumble dryer, try and use the economy setting when using it. Most modern irons are steam irons. What this means is you put water into a container in the iron and steam comes out. This is ideal because it removes a lot of the stains easily, but steam can be very dangerous and can cause scalds. It's important when you are using the iron to follow a number of guidelines. Always store the iron sitting upright in the position so that there's no leaks of the water into the internal parts. Unplug and fill the water tank. Do not fill the iron with water while it's plugged in, as there may be a risk of electric shock. You can get special water to put into the iron which has a pleasant smell. Although there's no need for this, you can just use plain water from the tap as well. Always iron items inside out as well, as this prevents the removal of plastic coatings and other things you do not want to remove from the layer of the fabric. In the following slides, we're going to be looking at the care labels. As I mentioned previously, these are usually found in the tag on the inside of your clothing. They allow us to have the information to make the best choices when we are washing our clothing. Care labels can be divided into 5 categories: washing instructions, drying instructions, ironing instructions, bleaching instructions, and dry cleaning. We're going to go through an example of each of these now, so you know best how to read the care labels on your clothing. The first care label instruction we're going to look at is washing instructions. As you can see from this slide, I've given a 40-degree washing instruction. I know this is a 40-degree wash because 40 degrees is written inside in the little wash basin. Sometimes you might see lines written underneath the basin as well. These give you an idea of what kind of spin you want on your washing machine. Most items of clothing will require a normal spin, but if an item of clothing is silk or wool, a short spin is necessary. You will find instructions on how to change the spin on your washing machine in the manual. On this slide, you will find information on the different types of care labels for drying instructions. The first one we look at here is dry flat. As you can see, it's a little box with a little line in it, and I always think this looks like something is lying flat down. This is ideal for wool clothing, as drying on a line may cause the wool to lose its shape. Line drying then looks like a little washing line, and that's what it is. For this recommendation, you put the clothes on a clothes horse or on a washing line. Drip drying then is for clothing such as silk that you cannot put into the tumble dryer, but can take the weight of the water. The second last one then is tumble drying. This looks like a little tumble dryer. If you see this symbol, this means the clothing can be tumble dried. The last symbol then is the tumble dryer with an X through it. This tells us the item of clothing should not be placed in the tumble dryer, because if you do so, it may be damaged. On this slide, you will see information about ironing instructions. There are 3 main types of ironing settings you can have. The first one is a hot iron, and this should ideally be used for cotton or linen. A warm iron then is more suitable for wool or polyester, because too hot of an iron may cause the polyester to melt or the wool or silk to be damaged. A cool iron then is ideal for nylon, viscose or acrylic. These 3 types of fabrics are quite plastic in nature, so a cool iron is necessary to make sure that, again, they do not melt. The last symbol here is a do not iron. Again, quite a straightforward symbol because it is an iron with an X through it, which is telling you not to iron the item because doing so may cause damage. On this slide, you will find information on the dry cleaning instructions. These are not for you as the consumer, they are for somebody who works in a dry cleaners. They allow them to know which chemicals are suitable to be placed on that particular type of fabric in order to clean it dry with no water or liquid. The final symbol is something you will often see on clothing, which means do not dry clean it. This is important because dry cleaning uses chemicals that can damage delicate fabrics. The final care label we have to look at here is bleaching. Bleaching is not used commonly on many types of fabrics, but it's ideal for cotton that is white or linen that is white, because that can take the actual acidity of the bleach. Most items of clothing will probably contain the do not bleach symbol, which is a triangle with an X through it. This tells you not to put bleach into your washing machine or to use detergents that have bleach in them, as this will damage the clothing. Here you will see the assignment I want you to now complete after finishing this chapter. You are asked to make a poster of laundry care symbols in which you could put up in your utility room. The success criteria for this assignment are: the poster must be A4 sized, you can hand draw it, or you can use the computer to create the poster using a program such as Microsoft Word or Google Docs. You must contain symbols for washing, drying, ironing, bleaching and dry cleaning, and it must be clear and easy to read.